All right, we have
We're
Jason,
going to go
right?
live to Berea now with Jason Lloyd, who was at Ken Dorsey's press conference. Obviously, we were reacting to just tweets. Before we bring in Jason, a quick reminder that FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook, and there is no better place to win on Super Bowl Sunday than with FanDuel. It's about getting the best seats on the couch, grabbing your favorite football snacks, placing some super bets, and watching the Super Bowl with some super friends. And FanDuel has a bunch of different ways to help you end the season with a W or 2 or 3 or hopefully even more. Not only can you bet on who will win Super Bowl 58, but FanDuel also has bets for which players will score a touchdown, how many points will be scored, and so much more. And today, new customers get $200 in bonus bets if their first bet of $5 or more wins. So just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to sign up. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook sponsor of the NFL. Let's bring in Jason Lloyd from the Athletic, a UCSS OG. What's up, Jason?
What's up, guys?
What's your takeaway?
Very bland, very boring. Not really a lot there. Obviously Kevin got the play calling thing out of the way and said we'll get there. I think we know how it's going to end, though. It's going to wind up with Ken calling the plays. That's why he's here. And then Kevin got off the podium and left it to Ken. So Kevin didn't even take any questions on it. He'll have to do that at the combine in a few weeks here, coming up at the end of the month. And I thought it was a little unusual that he didn't stay and take questions, but I guess kind of not, because you want Ken to be the focus of this today. And then Kevin will talk about it, obviously, more in depth at the combine.
Why the song and dance?
Not really a lot said, though. Not really a lot said.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Why the song and dance on who's going to call plays? I mean, you made the decision. Own it. Let's move on. Why draw this out another couple of weeks or months?
I think probably because it looks worse if you come in today and declare he's calling the plays. You know what I mean? Then it's really what's going on here? So they'll probably announce it not till training camp. Maybe even later. I don't know.
Wow.
But I think that they want to get together, learn each other a little bit. Kevin said they sort of came up through the coaching ranks together. I don't know how much relationship they really had, though. Their paths really never crossed. But they got to build a little camaraderie between the two of them. Kevin mentioned AVP at the Open. Said, you guys know how I feel about him, how I feel about him as a person, as a coach. But, then scurried off the podium, so we weren't really able to follow up on that as to why this came about. But I think we know why it came about. The topic of heavy today was, his work with Cam Newton and Josh Allen in the past, and, his comfort level with mobile quarterbacks and handling quarterbacks who are dual threat guys. And, he didn't really get into what the offense will look like. Acknowledge that there's probably some differences between how he views things and how Kevin views things. There'll be things that they agree on. There'll be things that they disagree on, and they'll have to come together on that and figure it out. It was brought up what Deshaun said about he doesn't love the scripted plays, and Ken said there are certain things that are tenets that are staples that you say, this is how we're going to do this because this makes us better and this is going to help us win. And there's other things that you can look at and say, well, if you're not comfortable with that, then we don't have to do it that way. But he wouldn't classify which bucket scripted plays falls into. So he'll fit in perfectly around here because he didn't really say a whole lot.
Jason, so along those lines of his work with quarterbacks that's dual threats in the past, was anything said about Ken Dorsey being the quarterback coach as well as the offensive coordinator?
Yeah, probably a bad job by us. It didn't come up, but I think he will be. I think he is going to be. That's what AVP was last year. I think Ken will be the quarterback's coach in title, but I don't have any official confirmation on that. That's just probably how it's going to go. They got to replace Bill on the offensive line, and that was really the only change that they talked about still to come.
Yeah, Jason, that's, you talked about, I'll be interested to see this, the mix, the way Deshaun talks. I mean, he sounds like he trying to do 70-30 pass. Is this going to be a thing where they say, hey, look, was Jimmy upset at the fact that Deshaun was not developing as fast as he thought he should? Or was he upset at the fact that they weren't throwing the ball as much as they should that caused this change?
Yeah, I think it's more of the development of Deshaun and how Deshaun looked in this offense is what predicated it. and Ken said something today about he's not opposed to running the ball, and running for touchdowns is great too. But, they are going to be pass happy. They're going to be a throw happy offense. I would just hold up 4 years of evidence and say, well, they had a ton of success in this offense and great quarterback play. He got great quarterback play out of Kirk Cousins in Minnesota, out of Jacoby Brissett, out of Joe Flacco, out of all these has-beens, never-weres, and he's had great success with it. Took this offense, the Niners have taken this offense to the Super Bowl, and yet Deshaun's the one that's, struggling with it. I thought he looked good at times. At times he didn't look good. But, to me, the offense wasn't the problem. But, this is what happens when you commit $230 million to the guy, and he's gonna run your franchise at that point. So you're gonna do everything you can to put him in the best position to succeed. And I don't want to sound too down. Like, it could work. It could work fine.
Right.
It feels a little icky the way that we're getting there, but a lot of things about the Browns feels icky at times.
Yeah.
So it could work fine, and Ken could come in. He could call it the way Deshaun sees it, and they could just roll next year, and everything would be great, and this will long be forgotten. But it just doesn't sit right with me the way that they're getting to this point.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I feel the same way. Browns fans, I think, deserve. Look, when we put up with what we've put up with for all these years, and we just keep coming back to the well, and we keep dropping our money on this product, treat us as adults. Don't insult our intelligence. Look, it's perfectly fine if Jimmy Haslam and Paul DePodesta have come to the conclusion that where this offense was going isn't going to take them where they need to be. Okay, that's your decision. Ultimately, it's going to come out in the wash that it was your decision. Why do the charade of, we're firing AVP? Everybody's looking around the room like, AVP? What the hell did he have to do with anything? And then, just, you know what? I would respect Jimmy more if the day after the season he called the news conference and he came to the podium and he said, this isn't a Kevin move, this isn't an Andrew Berry move, because ultimately these are going to be pegged to those guys for a certain amount of fans, and just say, this is a Jimmy Haslam move. I owe it to the fans to give you a Super Bowl. And I've made the assessment that we weren't going to get there with AVP or with Kevin calling the plays. So I'm making an executive decision. That's what owners can do. And I'm bringing in a play caller. The search is open. We're going to bring you the guy that we're all going to fall in love with, and then just move on. Instead, it's this protracted song and dance, smoke and mirrors, even some mistruths that are probably being uttered because people are trying to protect other people. In the meantime, we've seen this before. We all know what it is. Just do it. Just get to it. And I'm with you, Jay. If this works, I'll be the first one to say I was wrong. And everybody will praise Jimmy and Paul if it works. But I think what they've done, and this is an unintended consequence of doing this, is they've thrown in another component and another potential excuse for Deshaun. Because we were kind of like eliminating those, and now you're going to bring in another play caller, and if it doesn't work, week 8, we're all going to sit around and say, maybe it's Deshaun, but maybe it's Ken. So we've added another potential excuse into the mix, which may delay getting to where we need to be even more.
Well, I agree with the first part of what you said about Jimmy, and he'll have that opportunity next month. I don't know that he'll take it and do what you said, but he'll meet with the media at the owners' meetings. It's one of the 2 times a year they talk, and it's in a very small setting. It's about the best time to have access to them. We'll see what he says. Probably not what you said, but I tend to agree with that. The second part, no, there are no more excuses. This is all Deshaun. This is him. If it doesn't work, it's on him. Now, Kevin will be the one that gets fired if it doesn't work. It won't be Deshaun. But this is all on Deshaun from this point on. If it doesn't work, that falls on your quarterback, because they've done everything they can to set him up for success. What I think they've done is I think they've stripped a little bit of Kevin's power away.
I feel that,
and that's too. And that's more. It's not I was wrong. I admit all the time when I was wrong. This isn't okay, I was wrong. Like, again, this could work, but the path that they're taking to get there just feels a little slimy and a little icky. And I think that they've eroded some of Kevin's power in that franchise by doing it this way.
Yeah, I'm fearful that that's the exact same thing. And how ironic it's going to be if he goes on to win Coach of the Year. We don't know. It's probably between he and D'Amico Ryans. But one way or another, the guy was in the conversation for 2 of his 4 years, and you're likely stripping his power coming off of a year where I thought he just pulled hats or rabbits out of hats all year long.
Yeah.
And now, oh no, you're not going to be the play caller anymore. It's like, it's mind-boggling to me, but that it is what it is. Jay, thanks. I know you got to run. Thank you.
All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Okay.
Yo,
Jay, go ahead.
Jay, listen. As he's talking, I'm thinking about so many different things, right? Like, they are night and day talking about Ken Dorsey and Kevin Stefanski when it comes to personality. Like, now I'm wondering, how is it going to look? How are they going to mesh because their personalities are different? Is Ken Dorsey going to be on the sideline or up in the booth, right? What type of relationship, what type of energy will he bring to this team, kind of like what Jim Schwartz did?
Well, did we show the clip on the show of Dorsey losing his temper in the box?
Yeah,
it was an NFL clip. So
It was one of the greatest gifts of all time.
I'm just looking at
maybe
this.
we need some of that.
Right, maybe we do, maybe we don't. I don't know. I'm looking at this whole thing, and I agree with Jason. Like, it could work, and if it does work, great. We talk all the time about, man, we cheer for the orange and brown. So no matter if we really think a move is a good move or a bad move, we support all moves because me, you, and you, we want to see a Super Bowl.
Sure.
That's what we want. So
and if this gets us there, Jimmy Haslam will be
we're
lauded
all for it,
as
but
a genius.
When he said about taking Kevin's power away, it goes back to what I said the first segment. If you're going to do all of this, man, why just fire the man? Why are you stripping him so much? Why are you handicapping him in so many different ways? Like,
I think Kevin deserves better.
He does. He definitely does.
You know what, guys? This was all in front of your faces. We just didn't see it. Let's be honest with you. When they gave Watson that 230, he was always in charge. You just didn't know it. you didn't have a chance to see it.
I think he's third in charge.
Hey, if it goes D, it goes Jimmy, D, and Dennis Watson.
I don't think so.
I'm gonna keep. Here's why I know.
Even more than Paul DePodesta?
Yes. Here's why I know, because he's a player and he plays. They need somebody to play. Here's why I know. You notice Deshaun Watson not this year, but the year before. We didn't see no podcasts, no interviews, no quotes, not too much Instagram, nothing. Lay low. This offseason, he got a podcast. He out here on the gram. He moving around. He telling what he don't like and what he do like. That didn't just happen because he's comfortable.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That happened because they didn't had that conversation.
He's three.
Like
he's number 3.
That reassurance. Hey, listen, don't even worry about that. I know it's Kevin Stefanski. He called and play. Don't even worry about that. He doing good this year. That 12-5. They made the playoffs. That's placebo. We don't even worry about that. Deshaun, what you want to get done? That confidence comes from the top man that says, hey, I don't care. You go tell your story. Do whatever you want. Deshaun comfortable to a point right now where it's like he knew it. You think he didn't know AVP was out of here? He been knew that.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because I think every coach, if you hire him, get their quarterback.
But you know what they did? If it was possible to make the Deshaun trade even more controversial and contentious, they not only gave him an unprecedented guaranteed contract, they then threw him the keys to the castle. And it was already, for me, it's all or nothing. This is a make or break move.
You had to go in.
You win a Super Bowl, it was a great move, and Jimmy, you'll be hailed as one of the great sports owners in the history of Cleveland. We will forgive you for 0-16. But if you don't.
Hey, have you ever gambled and you've been losing and you've been losing and you've been losing and you lose at 5, you ever lose 10,
then you
lose
throw
15,
good money after bad money.
And then you say, you know what? I got 1,000 on black.
You lose that
I've seen
too?
guys do that.
Right, like yo,
One last hurrah, G.
I've seen guys do it.
He got one last. He said, I done already took the shots. I done took the shots for him.
So
I might as well
now
go
think
ahead
about
and
it.
win.
So what he did was he decided to replace a potential 2-time Coach of the Year in a 4-year span, a guy who looked like a freaking magician this year offensively, working different offenses with different personnel, 5 different quarterbacks. He decided, I'm going to replace him with the guy that got fired halfway through last season. Okay.
Yep.
Look, if it works, all hail Jimmy Haslam.
I just feel like
if it doesn't, Your legacy just got a little
think
worse.
it's the Haslams, it's Paul D. Podesta, Dennis Deshaun Watson. But
I think that you might be right on that. I think Paul has Jimmy.
Paul got juice.
I think we should really. Paul and Jonah Hill are the same guy. Jonah Hill played Paul in Moneyball. And in truth, that's the guy that Jimmy became infatuated with. Jonah Hill.
If you've ever watched the Tudors, it's a good show. I think it's on Cinemax. He's the hand of the king at this point.
Man, if this thing doesn't go the way that we expect it to go, I think from a player standpoint, absolutely, Deshaun Watson is the last person
Don't start
standing.
1-4.
He's the last man standing. Kevin won't be here. Ken Dorsey won't be here. He will be here. But trust me, Paul D. Podesta have been here longer than anybody.
Yes, he's survived multiple regimes.
Anybody.
He has Jimmy's ear.
He the man with the real juice.
Jimmy saw Moneyball, and he's like, man, I like that
That's him.
Jonah Hill.
Gee,
I got to get that guy.
I wonder if that'll come up tonight on the Ultimate Brown Show, which debuts tonight, 5 p.m. Make sure you tune in on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show YouTube
make sure you
channel
check
for the
that out.
debut of the Ultimate Brown Show with G. Bush and Leroy Hoare.